Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe. The sun is shining, I'm in a great mood. Let's do this book haul. So the first books I've got here are books that I got from Hannah from Ladette M. I was unhauling some books and I sent some of them Hannah's way. You can check out an unhaul video down below if you wanted to see what books I was unhauling. And yeah, I sent some her way and she also sent me some books back. So the first one that I have here is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. And this one is a horror Gothic style book, you know, Gothic style, Mexican Gothic, that I have seen going across BookTube in the past year since it came out. As soon as I saw the cover, I was definitely intrigued because it looks beautiful, and I also really enjoy Gothic stories. I've heard that this one is very atmospheric, but other than that I don't know too much, and I kind of don't want to know too much going in because I think it's going to be the perfect kind of spooky vibe season read. Hannah was also unhauling Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean, and this one is a middle grade book where I think the child figures out that his dad may be gay, and it's about them going through this journey and learning about it as far as I can understand. And I've seen Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin really enjoyed this book when it came out, and since then I've just heard such positive reviews, and I haven't read enough LGBT plus middle grade, so I'm looking forward to reading this one and just adding it to my repertoire of middle grade books that I really enjoy. Hopefully that's where it's going to end up. Last but not least from Hannah, I got Open Water by Caleb Azumah Nelson, and this one is a black British romance book. I've got my bookmark in the top there because I'm halfway through. I've already started reading it and I'm really enjoying this one. The writing style is just so beautiful and gorgeous to me. It is written in second person, which is unique. I haven't read too many books that are written in second person, and I'm just really liking how it touches on some of the elements of black culture, but also the sense of foreboding that's within this romantic storyline. I just really like it and I'm looking forward to when I finish it. Next few books also come from another unhaul. This is from Hannah Reads Way Too Much on Instagram. Another Hannah. She's a really good friend of mine for quite a few years now, and she was unhauling some books and sent some my way, and quite a lot of these are ones I'm really excited to read. The first one I have here is Artemis by Andy Weir, and I actually don't know too much about this book at all. I haven't even checked out the synopsis, but I really wanted to read this one simply because it's by the author of The Martian, and I read that I believe in November in one single day because it was so good and I just raced through it, and I really want to read more of his science fiction. I know he's got another one that recently came out called Project Hail Mary, but I'll be reading this one first. It has black sprayed edges, and I think under the dust jacket it just looks so gorgeous. So I didn't expect the book to look like this when Hannah sent it, but I really hope I love it because I love The Martian. I also got The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and this one is a thriller. Ruth Ware is a very well-known thriller author. I have an idea for a vlog which is a non-thriller reader tries reading thrillers, so I've been trying to acquire a few thrillers so I'll have a bit of choice during that reading vlog challenge for myself, and because she was unhauling this one I thought why not give Ruth Ware a try. I don't know if this is her best book or her not best book, but we'll see once I get to it. The next one I got was Heartless by Marissa Meyer, which is a book I already own in paperback and I have already read, and I really enjoyed it. I usually don't get along too well with Alice in Wonderland retellings. Might have something to do with having read the Alice in Wonderland classic and not really liking it that much, but Heartless is one of the few Alice in Wonderland retellings that I really did enjoy. I loved our main character, I loved her development, and I really like her loved interest as well. The world building was done so well and it wasn't too confusing. Alice in Wonderland world building can get confusing, but it wasn't too confusing while still having all of that magical whimsy in there. And this hobby of baking was so great, but this is not supposed to be a review. I just accepted a second copy because underneath the dust jacket of this hardcover, it's absolutely beautiful, and oh, let me hold it. I couldn't resist. I just couldn't resist. I got a double copy of Call Down the Hawk in my last haul, and since then I'm just living the double copy life. A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi, and this is Tahereh Mafi's contemporary. I have read the Shatami series and it was not a series for me per se, but I'm looking forward to trying some of her contemporary works, and I'll be starting with A Very Large Expanse of Sea, seeing as Hannah was unhauling it. I believe that this one has a lot to do with Islamophobia, and that one of the characters is very interested in dance as one of their hobbies, and it just sounds very interesting. I really want to see if maybe her contemporary could be something for me. I also got Bird Box by Josh Malerman, and this one is a film. I think there was a film adaptation that I was avoiding because I wanted to read the book first, and now I finally have the book so I can actually read the book first. I also am reading this on the recommendation of Kasha from Kasha's Book Cemetery. I love her channel, and if you enjoy reading horror, Kasha is your girl. She's got so many good horror recommendations for books that are popular, for books I've never heard of, and she really enjoyed reading Bird Box, so I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy it just as much as she did. In this one, some kind of aliens, I believe, land on the planet, and if you see them, you lose your mind, you go crazy, and therefore you have to try and not look at them and live your life blindfolded, and that's what Bird Box is all about. Then I also got from Hannah, she gave me a lot of books, 2 Morgan Matson books. The first one is Amy and Roger's epic Detour, and the second one is Second Chance Summer. Earlier this year I read Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and since then I just kind of want to read all of her books. Even though I gave Save the Date 3 stars, sometimes I'm really in the mood to read nostalgic feeling young adult that is not problematic, but it's just predictable and it's a nice contemporary, and it reminds me of the teenage books that I would read in my childhood. So that's what Morgan Matson fulfills for me, and that's what I'm hoping these will continue to fulfill for me. Like, if I rate these 3 stars, they will have served their purpose well, because sometimes that nostalgic, calm, enjoyable feeling is what you need. Lastly, she also sent my way Heartstopper Volumes 2 and Volumes 3. She also sent me Volume 1, which was a double copy for me, and I immediately gave it to my best friend and her brother because I wanted them to read it. But I'm keeping Volumes 2 and 3 on my shelves, and since this haul I have read Volumes 2 and 3 and loved them because they are so cute and so adorable. The first one is about Nick and Charlie, and basically the synopsis says boy meets boy, boy has crush on boy, and then the story goes from there. They're in secondary school, I believe, in Britain, so it's got some of that like British culture to it. It's really cute, it's really adorable, and it just gives me all the happy vibes, and I'm really loving this series. I think so far the second one is my favourite one. The next stack of books are some gifts from some really lovely people, and we're going to start continuing on from where I just left off with Volume 4 of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. And this one was a gift from Victoria, from what Victoria read, because I got a good grade on my dissertation and I was very happy about that. So thank you so much, Victoria, for sending this one my way. I'm so excited to read the 4th volume. I haven't got to it yet, but I'm definitely going to be getting to it soon because I cannot get enough of these 2 boys and their stories. And I also have a side ship that I really hope will feature in this book again. When I graduated from university and I'd finished handing in all of my stuff, my really good writer friend Talia, who I just know from YWS, which is a writing website that I used to spend a lot of time on, she sent me Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert to celebrate. So thank you, Talia, and I really can't wait to read this one as well. This is the second book in the Brown Sisters new adult romance series, and the first one follows Chloe and Red, who have a romance going on. Chloe's a disabled black plus-size character and Red is just an amazing guy, and I really loved that romance. I think the representation was done really well, but also the romance itself was just so sweet and so nice, and of course it has some really good steamy scenes in it. And I think Take a Hint, Dani Brown is going to be even more my cup of tea because it sounds like it's got a bit of fake dating in it. It sounds like we've got Dani, who is a bisexual black, also plus sized, I believe, main character, and what we got to see of her in the first book I really enjoyed. I will probably be buddy reading this one with one of my good friends, and I cannot wait until she's ready to do so because I'm ready to just really enjoy this romance. From Sweet Tea Reads, she just sent me one of her favourite books of all time, and that is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and it's the book that inspired the films, and I'm a huge fan of the Jurassic Park films. I was introduced to them as a young child by my dad, who is a big fan of the films, and we always go and see the new ones in the cinema, and I've watched them countless times and could probably quote scenes to you. So I'm really excited to finally get to the books. I've heard that the books have a bit more science in them, and I am someone who loves all of the science in my science fiction, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. And then from Hannah from Ladette M, I'm mentioning her again because she's fantastic. We write together and we just chat a lot together, and she was like, thank you for helping me through writing my book, and sent me Death by Shakespeare by Kathryn Harkup. And this one is a non-fiction book where Kathryn looks at all the ways that characters die in Shakespeare plays and discusses whether it's feasible. Would they have really been able to kill characters in those ways in Shakespeare's time? Are we able to kill characters like that in the present day now, and some of the history around why these kind of deaths might have been in plays, and just looking at all of these kind of things in Shakespeare plays. I am a huge fan of Shakespeare. If you don't know, I've read every single one of his works, and I have a video where I rank all of his plays, not every single one of his works, but all of his plays. And I will never tire of Shakespeare inspired or Shakespeare involved books. I'm really excited to read this, and it is going to be on my TBR for all the world's a page because it just fits so well, and I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much, Hannah, for sending it my way. Up next we have books that I bought for myself, and I bought quite a few books for myself, but I will explain as I go along. So the first ones are ones I just bought because I wanted to buy them. Up first we have Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. I splashed out and got the US cover because I think I'm going to love it, and I love the US cover the most, well, the US hardcover cover the most. And I read The Deep by Rivers Solomon earlier this year, and I really liked it. I thought it was such a brilliant thematic focused read, and as soon as I read the synopsis for Sorrowland, I was half in love with the book because the synopsis makes it sound so very interesting, and I can tell it's going to touch on a lot of those themes that I really like reading about and thinking about and processing. I trust that Rivers Solomon is going to do it amazingly, just like they did for their previous work, and I just can't wait. I feel like I need to read this one at the perfect time, which is the only reason why I haven't read it yet, because I've just been so busy with thinking about moving that I haven't been in the right headspace to give this book the time and adoration it's going to deserve. Also had on pre-order the Owl Crate edition of Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater, because of course I did. Of course I was going to read this book, and I have already read it since hauling it in, and I have a video where I talk about every single one of my thoughts that I had while reading this book. So if you read this one and you're interested in that, there'll be a link down below. But this is the second book in the Dreamer trilogy, which is the sequel series to the Raven Cycle, which is one of my favorite series of all time. So I can't really tell you the synopsis of this one without spoiling a whole other series, but I just want to say it was really good. I got myself some beautiful classics editions. I collect the Penguin cloth bound and the Penguin paperback editions, and I got the beautiful one of Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, which is one of my favorite classics that I've read this year. I read it back in January, and I'm still thinking about it actively to this day, and I keep making references to it, and I adore it with my whole heart. It's definitely become one of my favorite classics of all time, and I'm so happy to have this beautiful edition that I can treasure for many years to come and probably reread at some point. Crime and Punishment is about a man who commits a crime, and it's just about his mental condition when he commits the crime, before he commits the crime, after he commits the crime, him battling his guilt but also his feeling of justification, and it's about why he did it and what happens afterwards, and a lot happens afterwards, and it's very fascinating. Really recommend it. And then somebody on Twitter, I think it was Leah, suspicious it was Leah, mentioned that the Penguin cloth-bound hardcover of Frankenstein was like £3. So I bought it. I've got this one in the Penguin paperbacks, but now I also have it in the hardcover. Frankenstein is again just one of those classics I love with my whole heart, and I will never get enough of it, and so now I have another edition of it. And I'm really happy with it because it's beautiful. Frankenstein follows Victor Frankenstein, who is a scientist who makes a monster out of dead human remains, and it's all about what happens when he does that, and it talks a little bit about him, well, it talks quite a bit about Victor Frankenstein and his mental condition as he does this and why he's doing it and what he thinks after he's done it, but it also takes a lot of time to talk about beauty standards and society, kindness, accepting other people, and I thought it was fantastic. I love this classic. Bought myself a copy of a classic that I read at school first, and then I reread from a library but never had my own edition, and I really like it, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And the first time I read this was in secondary school, like early secondary school, and since then it captivated me. Back then I didn't know that found family was my thing, but now I can very much see why I love this book so very much. We follow this gang who are these boys who live in this town, and they've got like an enemy gang, and they're just trying to get by basically. And we also are following Ponyboy, who doesn't have any parents. He's looked after by his two older brothers. Oh my gosh, not me thinking about the Lynch brothers suddenly while thinking about this book. But anyway, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm probably going to reread it again in the future. I also really like the film, which I saw last year for the first time, so one of my favourites, and I'm glad to finally have a copy of it. I went on several trips to the secondhand bookshop. First one I got is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I've heard good things about Jewell as a thriller author, and when I read the synopsis about like one house, two families, three bodies and a baby that's left alive, and you know, who's been looking after this baby even though there are dead bodies around it and it's been an abandoned place for a few days, I was intrigued, and I thought this could be a good one for my thriller vlog idea, so I just picked it up. Up next I got There by Tommy Orange, and this one is actually one that's been on my to buy list for quite a while, so I was very happy to find a very pristine new looking copy in the secondhand bookshop. This one is by an Indigenous author, and I definitely need to read more Indigenous authors, so I was looking for this one specifically for that reason as well. I've heard it's really good, seen positive reviews, and it's about these 12 people from different native communities who are all travelling to the same place, and they're all connected to each other in ways that they don't realise, and I think this book is going to explore some of those connections, and I'm very much looking forward to reading it. I've seen positive reviews from people like Noelia from A Day in Bookland, and I often enjoy the literature that she has enjoyed. Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I really enjoy watching horror films, and this is a horror film that I've been avoiding because I wanted to read the book first, because I saw Kasha from Kasha's Book Cemetery talking about it and raving about it, so I really just don't know that much about it. I feel like it's going to be like a haunted house situation, Cabin at the End of the World. Maybe. I just know that I need to read this one so I can watch the film, and this could be a very good read for Gothtober because it's horror, so we shall see if this gets read later on this year. I saw Sea Prayer by Khalid Hosseini at the secondhand bookshop, so I just picked it up. I've already read this one. It's a picture book, and it's a picture book about the immigrant experience. I have read everything he's written. I've read everything he's written, and I've really liked the majority of what he's written that I've read, so I'm just adding this to collection because now there's only one book of his that I don't own, which is And the Mountains Echoed, which I've also read but didn't enjoy enough to buy after reading it from the library, but I did like this one, so I'm happy to have it. Picked up a copy of The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Zafón because I've just heard so many things about this classic and about how good it is, so I wanted to try it. I've got a buddy read planned with Mariana Quesada, so I'm looking forward to when we can read this one together. Oh, this was a brilliant find because I spotted Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. I was so excited when I saw this at the bookshop because I love this play so much because it's inspired by Shakespeare. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are two characters in Hamlet. This is about them when they're off stage, so this is their story when Hamlet is going on. It kind of runs parallel, but it's a really good play. It's entertaining, it's funny, but it's also got its moments of seriousness. I liked the way how it interacted with the play Hamlet, and I liked how well it captured Rosencrantz's and Guildenstern's characters. I read this earlier this year actually, I think, and it was a new favourite for me, and I borrowed it from my sister when I read it, so now I've got my own copy to add to my shelves, and I really like this edition. The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I don't really know anything about it. I've read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck back in school, and I did enjoy it. I know that there's some racism in there and some language that's very outdated, but I do remember enjoying it, so I'm looking forward to seeing if I will still be able to enjoy another one of his works. No expectations whatsoever. I really like this edition, so I picked it up. On a total whim, I picked up Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal by Jeanette Winterson. Jeanette Winterson is an author that one of my friends really likes, so as soon as I saw the name I thought I'll just give it a go. I believe this is her memoir, and it's about her childhood. Yeah, that's all I really know. I picked up 2 classics. I pick up classics in old secondhand editions, and if I really like them I buy a new edition. So here we've got Jack London's The Call of the Wild and White Fang. Again, I don't know too much about what these ones are about, but I have heard so much about Jack London's classics that I want to try some for myself. And we have The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, and this is one, again, I've heard a lot about as a Christian myself. I just hear a lot about this classic, so I'm looking forward to trying it for myself finally and seeing what I think of it. So I picked up in Dutch Gone by Michael Grant, which is Verlaten, and this is a series that I read in my childhood that I really loved. And I also picked up Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer in Dutch, and look at the cover, it's the original cover. This is the cover that I first owned. So I picked up these 2 in Dutch because I am trying to read more in Dutch. It's not going so well, but I've decided to switch my tone and read books that are my favourites, that are young adult and middle grade, and see if that helps me get through some Dutch books from the secondhand shop. This is the one I was doubting whether I should pick it up or not, and then I thought, why not? I got Eye in the Sky by Philip K. Dick, and this one I picked up because, solely because, it sounded like Divergent, about a laboratory experiment that goes wrong, which trapped these characters into experiences that are built from their deepest dreams and their deepest fears. And if you've read Divergent, you know that this is basically the fearscape. I forgot what they call it in Divergent, but it's basically that in a classic science fiction book, and it made me so curious that I had to pick it up, and I want to see, like, I want to compare to Divergent. We're down to our last stack of books, which are just review copies or things that came from random places. So I also took several trips to my free little library as I was unhauling all of these books. I've been unhauling a lot, I just had a lot to get rid of, and on one of those trips I saw a book that I decided to pick up from the free little library, and that is Patsy by Nicole Dennis Benn, and this one is one that I've just been so fascinated by for a very long time. So in this book we follow Patsy, who's from this poor town in Jamaica, and she longs to go to New York and start her life afresh and free, and it's about her experience doing that and what it's like being an immigrant over there and how her life differs and compares. But we also follow her daughter, who she's left behind in Jamaica and is feeling resentment towards her mom who abandoned her. And it's following these 2 women, and I believe the story also has LGBT plus representation, and I'm so excited to read it. I've just heard amazing things about it, so I had to pick it up once I saw it there in the free little library. Then Hannah K, third Hannah K from A Cup of Wonderland was unhauling books, and she kindly sent me Scars Like Wings by Erin Stewart. And I remember when this book was first released, I saw all about it in the book blog community and everybody seemed to be loving it. And we're following our main character, who has a lot of burn scars from a house fire, and she's been homeschooled, I believe, for the past year since the fire, and for the first time she is going to school, and it's about her experience doing that and what it's like. And the last 3 books are review copies. The first one is After Love by Tanya Byron, and this one, just look at the cover. First of all, we love to see it. Female romance smack bang on the cover, and in this one I believe it's about this main character who actually dies, and she is training to become a reaper, and as part of her training she wants to try and see her girlfriend who she really loves one last time, and it's about a love that could possibly defy death. And I'm so intrigued. I love reading about Grim Reapers, so I'm looking forward to this Grim Reaper situation, but also a first love situation, but also it's a female romance. It just sounds so amazing and fascinating to me. And then we have Freshwater for Flowers by Valerie Perrin, which is a translated fiction novel, and I'm trying to read a bit more translated books, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. It deals with grief extensively, which is one of my buzzwords, and in this book we follow Violet, who works at a cemetery, and her life gets a bit complicated when a police officer shows up who insists on scattering the ashes of his mother on a complete stranger's grave, and the grave that he chooses and why he's doing that has something to do with Violet's own life. So their lives are entwined and they figure this out, and it seems like it unpacks things to do with grief but also a lot to do with character, and it sounds like it's going to be a very emotional story. Abby from Ab Reads on Instagram has read this one and really enjoyed it, and she is a queen of translated fiction. Her Instagram is full of great recommendations and reviews, so I'm always on the lookout for some of the books that she's mentioned on there. Last but not least, we have a book from Book Break called Hope Not Fear by Hassan Akkad, and I think this tagline down here describes it very well, which says, discover the extraordinary story of Hassan Akkad, Syrian refugee, BAFTA award winner, NHS COVID ward cleaner, and a powerful activist. And it's all about his life and his involvement in doing all of those things and his experiences, and it sounds like it's going to be intense, but I've really been enjoying reading memoirs this year. I've read quite a few now, and I'm really liking non-fiction. I've read more non-fiction this year than other years, I feel like, so I'm curious about this and looking forward to reading it. Now that is the last book I have to talk to you about, but no, don't go anywhere, because there's one more thing that I want to show you, and those are some beautiful bookmarks from Sabine, from Sabine's Book Nooks Etsy shop. She did an Etsy update and they look fantastic. Now this is not like a sponsored thing or anything, it's just me fangirling over her amazing bookmarks. I'll show you this one first. It says, the sun, moon and stars will guide you, and it's all sparkly and beautiful. I really like it. This one here, which says, to the people who look at the stars and wish. Again, a really nice sparkly one. These are both such beautiful nighttime sparkle bookmarks. So first of all, we've got this really nice lavender coloured one with some books on it. It features Six of Crows, The Poppy War, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Legendborn and Heartstopper. And I've read 4 of the 5 and really enjoyed them. So I've just got to read Legendborn, which I own now and look forward to reading, and I feel like I'm gonna love it. And then we have my favourite bookmark that I loved from the moment she started working on it and she showed it to me. It's green, which is my second favourite colour, and I think it's a beautiful lime green with this like gorgeous white bookcase on it. There's butterflies flying around it. There's all these beautiful books with titles on them, so you can actually read the titles of the individual books. Statue, plants, planet, I don't know, there's something about this bookmark that screams aesthetic to me, and I really love it, and it's one of the favourite bookmarks that I own right now. So you can buy all 4 of these bookmarks plus more things on her Etsy shop, and some of them have tassels attached. Mine don't have tassels, but I know you can get the purple one and the green one with tassels. So head over to Sabine's Etsy shop, link down below, and I'll also leave a link to her channel because she makes great videos. So those are all 37 books that I've recently acquired, received and bought. Thank you so much for watching this haul. Please let me know in the comment section down below, have you read any of these books, or what was the latest book that you've bought, received or acquired? Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't you forget to hit the notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!